Hey, Rich Jason. Welcome back to Marvel Legendaries. Marvel Studios What If series. We're going to explore the multiverse. This is the second part of the unboxing of the cards. Technically part 4 in the full series. Part 1 we did all the heroes and like the standard basic cards. But that was running a little bit long, so I decided to extend the villains into a second video just so that we don't have a lot, because I have a lot of text on their cards to go through as well. I want to make sure I gave them enough time. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and hop right into this. So, first of all, I'm going to start with one of the masterminds. So we're going to start right off with Killmonger the Betrayer. And I'll talk about the keywords as they come up if they do. So this always includes Killmonger as one of the heroes, which is very interesting. And then he always leads the Vibranium Liberator drones. So his Master Strike says, if there are any Killmonger cards in the city or HQ, each player gains a wound. Choose a Killmonger hero from your hand. Any player discard from your hand, any player's discard power at HQ to enter the city as a villain with attack equal to its cost plus 3, and they fight, KO this, or choose a player to gain it. That's kind of cool. So it's always has to include one. It's also interesting because it's not as an extra character. So it's not like 5 plus him. It's 4 characters plus Killmonger. Also interesting because it's just Killmonger. It's not specifically the one from this set, which is Killmonger Spec Ops. So that means if they ever make another Killmonger in a later set, he could be used as well. But yeah, that's an interesting way to do a leader card. Yeah, any Killmongers in a city or HQ, each player gains a wound. Choose a Killmonger from your hand. Any player's discard power HQ. So that's interesting because that means you're constantly fighting against them. Because even if you buy them, it can keep you from getting a wound or defeating them if they get in there. But then when you have to fight them, you basically either have to give it to somebody else, which then might end up having that guy have to come back again, or you have to KO it. Interesting. That's the regular version. And then you can flip over to the Epic Mastermind version, which now is up to 12. Same includes, same leads. Same Master Strike, except now it's equal to plus 4 to the cost. So, interesting. That's really neat. Neat mastermind. Alright, now let's look at his tactics. We have changing loyalties. Fight, gain a Killmonger card from the city HQ or another player's discard pile. Cool, so it's going to play all the way around that entire mechanic. Pulling the strings. But you get +1 star recruit for each different villain group in your victory pile. Oh, that's neat too, because then it works like the other Killmonger cards. Sunset over Wakanda. From left to right, each Killmonger hero in the HQ enters the city as a villain, as described on the Mastermind card. Then refill all the empty HQ spaces. Ooh, boy. And then finally, see you on the flip side. Fight, each other player reveals their hand and discards a Killmonger card. That is a really neat mechanic for a boss, because then you're playing against one of your hero cards. So if like you leave them out on the table, you're going to end up taking extra wounds. But if you buy them, then now they potentially could come back and attack you. As long as they stay in the HQ, they're not going to... Most you get is a wound, but they won't come back and fight you a lot stronger. And being that some of his cards are probably like 4s and 5s. Yeah, he's got a 6 cost, a 3 cost, 5 cost, 4 cost, 2 cost. So like the 2 at the low end, and then the 8 cost ultimate. So at +3, that means the 2s, now you're fighting a 5. But if you're fighting a 6, now you're fighting an 11. So he can actually be more powerful as a villain than he is as a mastermind. That's pretty cool. Let's look at his always leads. He leads the Vibranium Liberator drones. These are a villain henchmen, so you have 10 copies of these. Ambush. Another villain captures a bystander. So that's kind of neat. So that's going to help get bystanders captured in the game. And then fight Liberate 3. The next time you rescue a bystander this turn, including from this henchman, KO one of your heroes. So that's kind of cool too. So it kind of works. His ambush gives someone else a bystander. Then when you fight him, you now get Liberate 3 to spend to fight somebody else who has that bystander. And then the next time you rescue the bystander, you have to KO one of your heroes. So it's interesting because he's only 3. He's a henchman, but if you take out, if you use that Liberate 3, you have to get rid of one of your cards. So early, yeah, you might be able to get rid of one of your shield agent cards or troopers, but you might not have one if it's depending on what it is. So it's kind of a neat little mechanic. All right, then we're going to go ahead and hop into one of our other masterminds. We're going to look at Hank Pym, Yellow Jacket. So you have some interesting setup effects. This is before each time you fight Hank Pym, you must track him down by discarding the top 6 cards of your deck, then paying 2 attack for each card you discarded with that cost of 0. If you don't pay this in total, you gain a wound and your turn ends. Always leads any villain group, so you can be with anybody. A Master Strike, each player puts 3 0-cost cards from their discard pile on top of their deck. So you're going to shove them cheapy cards back in your deck to clog it up so it's harder to attack and wasting your time. We have 6 cards from your deck and you have to pay 2 for each. So he normally does 4, so that means potentially that could be 12 plus 4. He could be a 16-cost villain to fight. If you drew a bunch of zeros. But if you get a bunch of zeros, you're not going to ever have enough, because for every 0 card you have, you're either going to have 1 attack or no attack. So they're going to really make that hard. So basically, as the game goes on and your characters get more powerful, he won't be as much of a threat. The flip side is same basic stuff, except now you have to pay 3 instead of 2. He has 6 attack to begin with, and his Master Strike now puts 6 cards from the discard pile on the top of their deck. So very interesting. So he gets pretty powerful. Let's look at his tactics. Save from assassination. Fight. Choose a card in your discard pile that was discarded from your deck this turn, because that would happen from his effect. You may put that card into your hand. That's cool. So we should get one of your cards back right away. We have Vengeful Sting. Fight. Each other player reveals the top 3 cards of their deck, discards all those cards that cost 1 or more, and puts the rest back in any order. So that's very punishing as well. Revenge for an Ancient Grievance. Fight. The player with the most villains in their victory pile and are tied for the most gains a wound. And then finally, a Microscopic Research. Fight. You may gain a hero from the HQ that costs 2 or less. Interesting. So again, that might not be very beneficial depending on when you get it. He can lead any villain group, so it makes him very interesting to play around. Alright, I think up next, we're going to look at just a regular villain group. We have the Intergalactic Party Animals. This goes with Party Thor. So we have Party Kraglin. Fight. You get +1 recruit for each intergalactic party animal in your victory pile, including this one. So the more you get in there, basically you mass your guys together, you're going to gain bonuses. We have Party Korath. Party Korath gets +1 attack for each bystander held among all intergalactic party animals. Ambush. Each player may draw a card. Korath captures a bystander for each card drawn this way. Nice. So, again, I love this theme of having more guys capture bystanders, because it's going to work really well with the Liberate ability and some other people's stuff. Other different keywords and other sets as well. We have Party Korg. Fight, KO one of your heroes. Escape, cross-dimensional party rampage. So again, with this means if he escapes, each player has to look at their discard pile for, or sorry, they have to produce a card that says party from either their, each player checks the top card of their victory. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Each player reveals one of their party heroes or a party card in their victory pile or gains a wound. So it's either a card you played, a card in your hand, or your victory pile that has it. So it could be Party Thor or one of the intergalactic party animals. So currently there's no other party characters that I know of from any other sets. This is a neat idea because they could always add additional ones if they like a season 2 or something like that. We have Party Scroll. Ambush. Party Scroll captures the highest cost hero from all H2 spaces under intergalactic party animals. Party Scroll gets plus attack equal to that hero's cost. Fight. Either KO that hero or choose a player to gain it. So it starts off as 2, which isn't bad, but he can easily bump up really quick. We have the Fun Party Nebula. Ambush. If there are any other intergalactic party animals in the city, each player discards a card. Escape, same effect. Party Surtur. Ambush, cross-dimensional rampage party. Fight, you may KO a gray hero from your discard pile. And then the last 2 are kind of interesting. So we have Captain Marvel, end of the party. Captain Marvel gets 1 attack for each other intergalactic party animal in the city and or escape pile. Ambush. Each player reveals a strength hero or gains a wound. And escape. Captain Marvel ascends to become the new mastermind. She gains the ability Master Strike, repeat her ambush effect. Oh, nice. So everyone's going to keep getting wounds if they can't produce strength heroes. I love the Mastermind Ascension cards. I think it's a really cool mechanic because it puts pressure on not just letting guys escape. Lots of times it's like they escape like, and then maybe if they don't have an escape effect, it's immediately just like, I guess I just lose a character from the card. We can probably afford to get rid of something. Maybe I have to discard if that a thing. Nothing you can't work around. Some of the escape effects aren't, can be punishing. Some aren't. But I love these ones because having another mastermind to fight is going to be hard. Because then you hit 2 Master Strikes. Plus, it's also depending on their level. Like, we just looked at Hank Pym. His base one is 4. You might, at cheapest before. Here, you always have to have at least 7. And Killmonger was kind of the same way. Depending on how powerful he is, you have, I was trying to find his card here. Because he's normally a 9. So yeah, a 9, he could be a little bit more powerful. So that's kind of fun. But then, to add on to that, we have Freya, Mother of Thor. During your turn, you may discard a card that costs 5 or more, the worthy number. If you hide the party and shuffle Freya into the villain deck. If you do, you may KO one of your heroes. Then you must play a card from the villain deck. So basically, you may discard a 5 cost or more to hide your party, and then you basically replay someone else. And then you may also KO one of your heroes, which is kind of nice if you want to get rid of one of your cheaper cards. But if she does manage to hit play, she ascends to become the new mastermind. She gains Master Strike. If there are any intergalactic party animals in the city, each player discards a card. So yeah, if she gets into play, you immediately have to fight a 12. At least with Captain Marvel, it was 7. A little bit more manageable. And the fact that you had a chance to beat her before she escaped. This one you'll have to keep trying to discard cards to keep her from coming in. So that's a really fun card. And then kind of to go along with that group, we have our second henchman group, which is the Giants of Jotunheim. I wish they're called the Party Giants, just because it would have made more sense for that. But ambush, each player discards the top 3 cards of their deck. Or fight, you may KO a gray hero from your discard pile. yeah, so ambush is going to mess up all the effects you're trying to set up with putting cards and manipulating your deck for like your what if abilities. But at least KOing your gray hero can help you out. Again, unless it's very early on, like this is like one of the first or second villains you have. Oh, it's 3 cards, I could get rid of them. But then you lose one of your starter cards before you've had a chance to fill your deck. So that can be very bad as well. Alright, let's look at some more villain groups. We have 2 copies of this one of Strangest Demons. So Wolf Demons. So this is kind of interesting. It's kind of like we had Killmonger was a bad guy. And we had his Master Strike. Here we have a bad guy, a villain group that goes with a hero. So it says fight Soulbind another villain, KO one of your heroes. So Soulbind again is you have to take a villain card, take whatever selected card, with villain card from your victory pile, flip it face down to activate this effect. So this will let you do it for another villain, so you obviously can't do it for him. We'll let you KO one of your cards, but you can choose not to do this. We have some more demons. We have the Moose Demon. Fight Soulbind a henchman. Draw 2 cards. You may do that henchman's fight effect. So this one only works to Soulbind a henchman. Skull Demon. Soulbind a bystander. Draw 2 cards. If that is a special bystander, you may do its rescue effect. Again, you have to have a bystander. So it's a little bit harder to trigger. The 2-headed Ram Demon. Soulbind 2 other villains. Take up the 2 cards from your discard pile. Demon Dragon. Soulbound another villain. You get recruit equal to that villain's BP cost. Then a cross-dimensional rampage. Demon Rampage that makes you reveal another demon. And this was mentioned in the book. It can be any groups of demons. It has demon in its name. Demon Descendant, Demon Dagger, Demonic, something demonic possession. So long as it has the word demon in it. Or other cards like Limbos, Demons of Limbos, or Blasco, Lord of Demons. As long as the demon is somewhere in its name or its type, it will work. Alright, then we have Demon Bound. So we have Demon in there. Doctor Strange. You have a new Doctor Strange to fight. Ambush. Each player must soulbind a strangest demon, villain, or discarded card. This is a forced one. Escape. Demon Bound Doctor Strange ascends to become the new mastermind and gains Master Strike. Repeat its ambush effect. So it penalizes you for not having one of them demons already. And then finally we have Demon Champion of Hydra. Cross-dimensional Demon Rampage. Then each player must soulbound a strangest demon villain. So this is definitely hard. Especially if you have to soulbind one of the demons. Now you can't use it for cross-dimensional rampage. Escape. Demon Champion Hydra ascends to become a new mastermind. It gains the ability Master Strike. Repeat its effect. That's cool. So we have 4 different characters now that can become new masterminds. So it adds some crazy setups there. Alright, our next villain group is we have the Black Order. Or the Black Order Guards. This is neat. We have another group that can work with the Thanos and different stuff like that. All in this sector fighting Thanos. So I have Call Obsidian, who has empowered by cards that cost 5 or more. Empowered means they get +1 attack for each card in the HQ that meets that requirement. So every card is 5 or more will give him an extra attack. Fight. For each hero in the HQ that costs 5 or more, you get 1 recruit. And we have 3 copies of him. We have 2 copies of Corvus Glaive, who says empowered by cards that cost 5 or more. Ambush. For each hero in the HQ that costs 5 or more, Corvus Glaive captures a bystander. 2 copies of Proxima Midnight, empowered by cards that cost 5 or more. Ambush. Each player discards a card that costs 5 or more or gains a wound. Fight. KO one of your heroes. So it's just a very negative effect. And then the last one in that group, because this is more of a traditional 4-character group, Ebony Maw, empowered by cards that cost 5 or more. Ambush, each player discards a card that costs 5 or more. Escape, Ebony Maw ascends to become the new mastermind and gains the ability Master Strike, Repeater's Ambush effect. Nice, we got another guy that ascends to Mastermind. Now imagine if you played like these 3 villain groups together. You could potentially have 5 more Masterminds to fight if you're not careful. I'd say though, after you start getting like the second or third one, although they don't actively do anything against you, so it's fine until you hit one of the Master Strikes. If you had 5 Masterminds, you got hit with 5 Master Strikes, he's probably going to destroy you for the next turn. You might not instantly lose the game, but like, yeah, all of a sudden you take wounds, and you take like 2 or 3 wounds, you discard a bunch of cards. You know, you might end up with just a crap round, but that also means if you have 4 players that all have a crap round, you know, that's 4 new villains that might pop up, which then they're going to have their escape effects, which is going to wreck your HQ, which might, you know, it would be very bad. Alright, we're going to look at another mastermind. We're going to jump to the main villain, actually. Ultron Infinity. Ultron Infinity has all the empowered abilities of all the Ultron sentries in the escape. In the city, the escape pile, and stacked next to him. He always leads Ultron Sentinels, so we'll look at those guys in a minute. And then he has cross-dimensional Ultron Rampage. Then each player stacks an Ultron Sentry from the victory pile next to Ultron. This puts a strike next to Ultron as an Infinity Stone. And Ultron has gained 5 Infinity Stones, plus this card as the Mind Stone. He gets infinite attack. Solo mode, also stack a random unused Ultron Sentinel next to Ultron. Interesting. So, yeah, because you'll have the 5 Master Strikes. Yeah, he gets to that. You pretty much can't beat him anymore. Because, yeah, he'll have infinite attack. And the only card that currently right now can defeat an infinite attack card is Gamora. I don't think anybody else had an ability. Yeah, because you could get hers, which has you gain infinite attack used only by a single villain. So she would be the only way to be able to stop Ultron that I can think of. There might be other cards that just say, like, defeat a mastermind. You know, but usually that, it's going to take a while to come across them. Yeah, cross-dimensional Rampage. Ultron, you know, someone has to show an Ultron card. There's a bunch of different ones from other sets as well, so that's kind of fun. The Ant-Man set had a bunch. And then the empowered ability for all the Ultron Sentinels. That is very crazy. What I don't even want to see what his epic mode is. Yeah, so it says everything's basically the same. Empowered by them, he has 12 health or attack power. Master Striking. Each player stacks 2 Ultron Sentinels from their victory pile next to Ultron. Put the strike next to Ultron as an Infinity Stone. When he has gained 5 Infinity Stones, he wins the game. So he only needs to do that. So he's not counted as, so he has to do it 3 times, because that would give him technically 6 Infinity Stones. First one would be 2, second would be 3, third one would be 6. Oh, so just put the strike next to him as an Infinity Stone, not the Ultrons. Okay, yeah, so he has to get all 5 of them. But then he just automatically wins the game. So instead of just becoming an undefeatable character, except for maybe a random effect, he just automatically wins, which makes sense. Alright, we have Infinity of Minions. Stack an Ultron Sentry from the city next to Ultron, then each other player chooses an Ultron Sentry from their victory player to enter the city. So the upside for him is putting the sentries off to the side, is now you can't soulbind them and get rid of them. That's kind of the whole thing there. Struggle for the Infinity Stones. Fight, gain a hero from the HQ. That's one of the hero classes that is empowering Ultron. Interesting. Transcend mortality. Fight, search the villain deck and stack for the first Ultron Sanctuary. Find, shuffle, stack the first Ultron Sanctuary. Find next Ultron. Shuffle the villain deck. And then his final one, look at that, he's shooting all the beams. Unfettered Annihilation. For each Ultron Sanctuary in your victory pile, you may KO a hero from your hand or discard pile. So his abilities aren't too terribly crazy, but he just needs to get them stones and he automatically wins. It'd be interesting to play a different way. Instead of having him collect Master Strikes, have him collect the Infinity Stones. Villain group, and then you have, then he gets them, and you have to collect those instead. You have to find all 5 in the deck, and then still activate all the rest of the Master Strikes. So that'd be kind of an interesting thing to do. Alright, then we have his henchmen group, the Ultron Sanctuary. So now, this is a little bit different. So instead of there being 10 of the same cards, there are 5 duplicates, 2 of each card. So we have the first one, it's empowered by range. Fight, KO one of your heroes. So that means anytime there's, 2 copies of that. So it means anytime there's a range card in your HQ, he gains an extra attack for it. And that's the same thing for the other colors. So we have 2 Ultron Sentries with empowered by strength, empowered by instinct, empowered by covert, and then empowered by tech. And what's really important about that is, so if we throw Ultron back, he has the empowered abilities of all of the sentries and escapes it in the city, which you can still defeat. The escape pile he can prevent, but once they're stacked next to him, they're always there. So if he starts getting 2 or 3, he can have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. He can keep gaining more and more attack every turn, but it will fluctuate. Alright, so we have a couple more to go here. We have our next villain group, which are the Rival Overlords. This is a very interesting set. Lost focus there. So I have Armin Zola, the Hydra Scientist. Armin Zola gets -2 for each other Rival Warlord that's in the city or a mastermind. So that's the same effect for every single one of these characters. They get -2 attack for each other Rival Warlord in the city or as a mastermind. So the more they're out, the weaker they get. They don't like sharing the spotlight. He has fight during one of your turns. You may soulbind Armin Zola to give a mastermind -2 for 1 fight. That's kind of neat. As you kind of fight them, then you can kind of stick them off to the side as a reusable, or as a one-time effect. We have Ulysses Claw, Ambush, a villain of the city with an Ascend ability, ascends to become the new mastermind. So he just pushes someone up there anyhow. Fight, KO one of your heroes. We have Yondu, Ambush, Yondu captures a bystander. Fight, for each player KOs one of their heroes. Red Skull, Hydra Occultist. Escape, Red Skull ascends to become the new mastermind. With a Master Strike, each player reveals a covert hero or discards down to 4 cards. Very, very powerful. So that's another mastermind. We're up to what, 6? We're gonna add Loki, the Frost Giant version. Escape, Loki ascends to become the new mastermind. With Master Strike, each player discards a ranged hero or KOs one of their non-gray heroes. So that's our 7th one. We have Ego. Ego ascends to become the new mastermind with the ability Master Strike. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a Master Strike, play it. That's just mean. You did chain Master Strikes together for everybody else. Then we have, that was what, 8, so Dormammu would be 9. Escape, he ascends to become a new mastermind with Master Strike. Each player reveals the top card of the deck. If it costs 1 or more, that player gains a wound. And then finally we have Thanos, which would be number 10. So there could be 11 total masterminds out right now if you play all these groups and you play very poorly. He becomes a new mastermind, gains the ability Master Strike. Each player discards half of their cards, round down the discards. And he's cost 12 to beat, so that's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's really neat that we got all those different characters. Alright, let's go on to our last villain group. Everyone's favorite, zombies. We have Zombie Wong, so we get 2 copies of him. Ambush, Rise of the Living Dead, which is the top card of each player gets the top card of the victory pile. If that villain has Rise of the Living Dead, it comes back into play. They did changes from the original Secret Wars version, so they don't chain anymore. So even if that villain comes back in, like if I drew Wong, he was a top card, he comes back to play. His ambush doesn't trigger again. It'll trigger for any other ambush effects. Just the Rise of the Living Dead one won't. So it won't keep triggering over and over and over. Fight, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, draw one of them, and put the other back. We have Zombie Wasp, who has Rise of the Living Dead. While in the sewers, rooftop, or bridge, Zombie Wasp is giant size and gets +2 attack. Fight, KO one of your heroes. Zombie Hawkeye. Fight, each player draws a card. Zombie Doctor Strange. Fight with the top 3 cards of your deck. Draw one, KO one, put one back, and then Cross-Dimensional Zombie Rampage. Our 3rd Rampage ability. 4th, Party Demon, Ultron, and now Zombie. Oh, we have 2nd Hawkeye in there. Zombie Captain America, of course. Zombie Captain America gets -1 attack for each hero class you have, so it works opposite of his hero ability, which is fun. Escape, each player reveals 3 hero classes or gains a wound. And then, finally, we have Zombie Iron Man. Each player reveals a tech card or gains a wound, then do Rise of the Living Dead. Escape, he ascends to become the new Mastermind. He gains the Master Strike, repeat the ambush effect. So that's 11 different zombies or characters to become new masterminds. That's pretty crazy. Alright, so for our last mastermind, we have, to go with that group, we have Zombie Scarlet Witch. Zombie Scarlet Witch gets +1 attack for each hero with an odd number cost you play this turn. Always lead Zombie Avengers. In solo mode, if using another villain group adds zombie to their card names and they all get ambush, Rise of the Living Dead. So it's fun because it makes everyone a zombie. Then Master Strike, Cross-Dimensional Zombie Rampage, then Rise of the Living Dead. So if you can't show off a zombie, you are going to get a wound. And then Rise of the Living Dead is going to trigger, and then you're going to end up having to play cards. So that's very interesting. Alright, let's look at her. What's her other side? She has 9. Just jumps up to 13. Beginning stays the same, always leads stays the same. Master Strike, Cross-Dimensional Zombie Rampage. Then each player must soulbind the topmost card of their victory pile that isn't a villain with Rise of the Living Dead, then Rise of the Living Dead. Oh, it's just gonna make that, it's gonna, 1, potentially shut off future cross-dimensional rampages. It's also going to, get you able to find the Rise of the Living Dead cards quicker because they won't be able to hide. That's nuts. Alright, we have Chaos Hex. Fight, before putting this tactic in your victory pile, Rise of the Living Dead. Fight, each other player discards a card with an odd number cost or gains a wound. Even the odds. Before putting this tactic in your victory pile, Rise of the Living Dead. Each other player makes a player reveals the top 6 cards of their deck, discards all the cards that cost 2, 4, 6, or 8, puts them back in any order. We have Refuse to Accept Death for putting it in the victory pile, Rise of the Living Dead, and your hero may gain a hero from the KO pile. And then finally we have Wistful Illusion. Before playing, put Rise of the Living Dead in. Reveal the top card of the hero deck, then put it on the bottom of the hero deck. You may play a copy of that card this turn. Interesting. It's actually very powerful. It can be very weak. You can get a 2-cost one that gets you 1 recruit point. You could get an ultimate card that does something crazy. Alright, then we're going to look at our 4 Steam cards. As long as we're talking about zombies, let's just look at Marvel Zombies. Set up 4 twists. Include exactly 1 villain group with Rise of the Living Dead. So we have this one, and there's also one from Secret Wars. Add 8 random cards from the extra heroes to 8 random cards from an extra hero to the villain deck. 2 to 4 players add 3 extra bystanders. 1 to 2 players. Special rules: when heroes from the villain deck are zombie villains equal with attack equal to their cost plus 1, where the VP equal to their cost, they have ambush, Rise of the Living Dead. Play a copy of this card as a hero, then put it in your victory pile. As a villain, it still has Rise. Interesting. That's kind of a neat idea. Also like the fact that it can be any 8 heroes. So if I was playing it, I'd probably pick 8 other different characters. I'd maybe take my time to set that up, just to represent I have a bunch of different heroes to fight against. But that's kind of cool. Twist: each villain in the city with Rise escapes, then play another card for the villain deck. Oh boy. Evil wins. There are 3 villains per player in the escape pile, or the villain deck runs out. Yes, so because your twists are always play an extra card, that'll help run out, and they're automatically going to force guys that get you your 3 per player. So 4-player game, that's 12. Alright, then we have Trash Earth with the hugest party ever. 6 twists, always include Thor hero and intergalactic party animal villain group. If Freya Mother Thor is in place, stack this twist next to the Steam as discovered wreckage. Otherwise, search the deck for Freya and she does her ambush effect. Then put this twist back into the villain deck. Interesting, so you're going to keep finding the special when you can't fight or defeat. You can't fight or defeat Freya. An evil wins when 5 wreckages have been discovered. Interesting. So either she's going to discover it, or it's going to go back in and she'll keep looking. That's kind of neat. Sort of simple. A little bit restrictive when you have to include specific groups, but it's very thematic that way. Alright, we have Breach the Nexus of All Realities. Set up 1 to 2 players, use 3 villain groups. Stack each villain group separately face down as its own reality. Add 2 twists to each reality. Shuffle together all henchmen, master strikes, bystanders from your player count, and randomly distribute among all the realities as evenly as possible. Shuffle each reality separately. Special: each turn you choose which reality, a villain deck, to play a card. They all play into the same city. Okay, interesting. Twist: stacked. This twist next to the reality has Dimensional Breach. If this was a second Dimensional Breach for that reality, destroy that reality, tailing all its cards. Evil wins when all realities have been destroyed. Interesting. So each one will have 2 twists, so each time you get it, you'll destroy that reality. Neat. That's a very interesting. And then 3 different villain decks, or 3 or 4 different villain decks, all competing, so you can kind of decide which one you want to go after. Like, oh, play this one, and then, oh crap, we got a twist, let's skip to one of the other ones. But eventually they're just gonna accumulate and hit you. Alright, then the last one we have is collecting Interstellar Zoo. 11 twists. Each player reveals their hand, starting with the current player, then clockwise, the first player to have this kind of hero in their hand, or discard pile stacks it next to the Steam stolen from the zoo. So for the first twist, it's strength, then instinct, covert, tech, and range. For the next couple, it is 5 cost, 4 cost, 3 cost, and 0 cost. And then for 10 and 11, it's recruit or attack icon. Evil wins when the zoo has 5 heroes. This is one of the ones that is potentially beatable. Because if you just get to there being less twists, basically get down to the last 4. If you haven't captured any, if you haven't lost any yet, and you get down to the last 4, you automatically can't lose to it, so it doesn't matter. But that's going to be very improbable. That's going to happen very often. Alright, though, that is what we have for the What If Legendary set. Really fun. The new abilities are pretty interesting. The What If is kind of fun because it lets you at least play around looking at your deck, if nothing else. I do wonder, though, if trying to get it to work a lot, you're going to end up forcing people to select the same heroes or the same colors, which I think a lot of people do because superpowers trigger off each other and the character cards synergize. But it might, and maybe that's the idea, just trying to maybe push people instead of buying every single hero or different ones. It's trying to force, like, okay, player 1's going to maybe be Party Thor and Captain Carter. And then, like, player 2's going to be Doctor Strange and Black Widow. Player 3 is going to pick Black Panther and Killmonger. And then player 4 will pick kind of whatever's left up. You know, and then maybe sort of have everyone kind of be that way. You know, then that way you're meeting your niches and stuff. But I could see that as being, might force gameplay. Liberates and neat mechanics if there's ways for bystanders to get captured. Again, there are some villains that don't capture bystanders at all. They have no effects to do it. There's heroes that can... there's obviously some villains that love capturing that ability to be used a lot more often. Same thing, there's some heroes that also let you force villains to capture bystanders, which would then make that liberate better. Interesting mechanic. Could be kind of hit or miss, though. Soulbound was the other new one. I could see that one being pretty cool as well. Like, really, like, flipping cards in your VP pile, for almost 90% of the games, it's not going to make any difference. For what's in your victory pile, you don't use that information. This set you will, because it affects your cross-dimensional rampages, and during Rise of the Living Dead, shuts down one, helps the other. Or, like, hurts you on drawing the other one for Rampage. But yeah, it's a neat idea. Like, you have to have that card in your pile. It kind of forces you to, like, do that, but you're not sacrificing part of your actual deck. So kind of cool. Alright, that's just the new ones. I'm not going to go over the old ones. But definitely a lot of compatibility with other sets. Mix and match with any of the other Marvel sets, making fun different combinations. Captain deck, you know, Captain Marvel, Captain America, Captain Carter, Captain Britain, and then add, you know, Captain America Falcon, you know, or the Captain, Red Guardian, maybe as a, you know, other Russian Captain America, U.S. Agent. Make interesting things with that. There's enough different Black Panthers now, you could probably just make a Black Panther deck, with T'Challa and different Black Panthers there. Same thing with Thor. Might almost be able to make a Thor deck at this point. Yeah, so some interesting synergies. The villains are kind of fun. I think they're, being a base game, they're not as interesting as some of the expansions, but they do have some neat concepts. So, alright, that's what we got for this set. Hope you guys enjoyed. Last thing I do actually want to show quick, I forgot. We did get some promo cards that came with this for the 10th anniversary. These were just because we ordered a bigger set, so it's like there's 2 different promos. So it's this Ultron Mastermind and Clea's Purple Gem. They're the exact same as the regular cards, except they have foil on them. Except for the fact that Ultron is no longer apparently an Epic Mastermind card. He just gets his one version. But yeah, you can even see the original Ultron had Empowered as well. He has Ultron's Legacy. It's just kind of neat. So there we go. That's what we have. I just want to show those guys off quick. I have no other reason to show them. See you later. Bye.